Okay, so yesterday I was around to post, but I wasn't at home, so I couldn't stream. So I'm going to quickly go through essentially what I was doing with some of my posts yesterday, and then talk a little bit about what I'm currently working on now. For the time being, since my shadow is not here. So yesterday I came to the thread like an hour and a half before Lynch ended, luckily. So essentially what I was doing with some of my posts yesterday. Stop that. Okay. Alright, so I came to the thread yesterday, and when I came, the thread was mostly dead. This is just my filter when I started posting. So there wasn't much activity going on, but since Gonza was here, I thought that I could try to convince him that I was town before the Lynch ended. So when I came in, I purposely challenged him to start questioning me, and he gave me a long list of questions. And bad stuff happened, and I started giving reasonings for everything I was doing. So the reason I was doing this was because I felt that he was town and that I could convince him of my towniness on this day. I really wanted to Lynch Wave of Shadow, and I did not move my vote to VE until the very end because I had no idea what the vote count was currently at. But so I spent the time responding to Wave of Shadows, or Gonza's, post, as only him and Toad, and I think maybe Kinnaman were in the thread when it happened. And so that's what I did. For the most part, it was a pretty fruitless effort, unfortunately. The thing is that essentially what happened is Gonza asked me questions, I respond. Then he asked me, there's Toad asking me questions, I respond. He asked me more questions, I respond. Kinnaman asked me a question, I respond. He asked more questions, I respond. He asked me more questions, I respond. He asked me more questions, I respond. I even link some of my previous posts as explanations. And he wasn't budging on anything that I was saying. So I should have realized it sooner, but guys like him, it was definitely not the right thing to do to try to respond to him, because I thought I could convince him that I was town, and clearly I can't. Because the thing is with what he was doing is just he would ask a question, I would respond. Then he'd ask another question, and I'd respond. He'd ask another question, I respond. I'm pretty sure he's town, right, because of what happened. And the end result is that he's just so convinced I'm Mafia that it doesn't matter how good the explanations are that I give him, he's still going to think that I'm Mafia. And I spent a long time trying to convince him, and that's what I was doing. And eventually I got really fed up, and so I told the thread I was leaving for a while because I couldn't think straight. And at one point I thought that actually he was Mafia, and I tried baiting him into giving an answer about something to see how he would respond, if he would respond in a town or Mafia way. And I just got really paranoid because I actually somewhat respect the guy, and I think he's smart, and for him to just not realize that if he can't refute my arguments and instead just ask me more questions, that he must be Mafia and just trying to do something, which was definitely a bad thing to think. And so when he did, I kind of realized that my mental state was bad, so I just decided to leave the game temporarily. So earlier this morning I read the thread, and then I wrote a long analysis about Holy Flare and Toad, which was really good. And I did show that they're Mafia, especially Holy Flare especially. I was able to compare some of his behavior to past games and show how it's definitely not like when he's Mafia. This will be going in the thread later, because I feel that right now I need to give the thread Mafia, and if I just post this confirming someone is town, they're not going to buy it. And I've just been debating myself over what to do about Wave of Shadow. And then this is where I explain that Toad is town as well. Call them the Holy Toad Empire because they are town. So that's going to get posted later. And I've spent the rest of the time debating myself on Wave of Shadow. And I've probably read through his filter a bunch of times and been looking at his game where he's Mafia as well. That's kind of what's going on. I've only been slowly following what's happening in the thread. As I said before, Gonza dying I guess kind of makes sense, but I thought Austin was more likely to die. this is fine too. In some sense, I'm actually really happy that he died, because he was a big distraction for me and like really pissing me off at some points. And now that he's dead, I have like a lot more confidence to say that, oh, I could win this game and do something right. And that's about it. So essentially where I'm at now is that I don't know. I can't really prove Wave of Shadow is Mafia. And I can only I can only find like small things that he said that I could pick at, like, to show that he's Mafia. And it's probably not even conclusive, even if I feel that way. So I'm starting to lean that he's not Mafia. I think Kidman is probably Mafia, as he fits the bill for a Mafia scum right now, and fits in as an ally with lots of people, including Wave of Shadow, including Marvelosity. Could be the last Mafia. And so that's what I'm leaning towards today. Since I need to give the town something in terms of scum, and I can't just confirm people, which would be a lot easier at this point, but and probably even more productive. I can't do that. At least I don't feel like it would work. The other reason I have to give town scum is because I'm still pretty sure I'm getting lynched today, and so I need to make sure that I give them everything they need so they could close out the game, however small of a chance that might be. So I was looking through Wave of Shadows Mafia game. And one thing I noticed is that, I did mention this before last time I looked at him, but there is an excessive amount of swearing. Like more so than when he's town. And he says that he swears when he's town as well. And it's definitely true. Like in this game. Oh, look. First thing I opened to. Was lagging a little bit there. But he does swear a lot. But the thing that's bothering me is that when he's Mafia, he swears even more, and that he's like kind of more trolly with his swearing, and by that, or maybe more aggressive is the proper term, is that he actually calls people like idiots and says stuff like "you're a fucking idiot," whereas when he's town, the swearing is like in passing. Really, that sounds like so convoluted, and that's because it is. I really got nothing on this guy. So I'm starting to lean that I might be wrong against him. That if I'm wrong against him, I confirm Tone is Mafia, so that leads me to think that Kidman and Marvelosity might be a remaining pair. So what's going to happen is I'm going to spend time looking at Kidman, see if I could say he's Mafia. Because if I could push for him to lynch and just say I don't know about Wave of Shadow, I think that'll be fine. For the sake of the town. And I will just hope that somewhere along the way I will be right. Okay.